Hi, it's your old pal Life the Impaler. Quest chains, glorious quest chains. What are they? And my Tiki Warrior is done printing. Okay, where were we? Oh, right, quest chains, glorious quest chains. What are they? Why are they? Who are they? I'm going to answer at least 30% of those questions by the end of this video. Quest chains debuted in the Christmas 2021 event, and now we've had 3 of them, and they are a main component for building one's headquarters, so it appears they're here to stay. So, how do they work? A quest chain is a series of activities and goals that you must complete in order to progress through the chain, usually earning increasingly valuable rewards along the way before you arrive at the final reward, which we've all decided to call the Big Tickler. More on that in a minute. Tackling a quest chain is not easy, and it's not meant to be. First and foremost, in order to complete a quest chain, you must feed in 1 green key, 1 yellow key, and 1 red key. In other words, 1,110 blue keys. So committing to a quest chain is not for the faint of heart. Quest chains only happen during major events, and if you've somehow missed the news that a major event is happening, you'll know that a quest chain is live because an icon will appear in the upper left corner of your screen below the leaderboard icon. A quest chain progression goes roughly as follows. You feed in a green key, and then you play the game until you acquire the necessary QB blueprint to unlock the next step. Typically, these quest chain blueprints will drop from just random vaults as you play the game during an event. Once you get that blueprint, you need to print that QB at a print shop. Printing that QB usually requires a certain amount of special event resources. For example, candy canes during the Christmas event and red envelopes during the Chinese New Year event. Then you equip that QB, in other words, put it on, and then you can advance to the next step. Then you feed a yellow key into the quest chain. After that, once again, you need to acquire another special QB blueprint, which will drop from random vaults while you play the game. Gather the resources necessary to print that QB, print it, equip it, and then you can move to the next step. Then you get yourself a prescription strength Valium. Swallow it, wait an hour for it to take effect, then you drop your red key into the quest chain. Now you might hyperventilate anyway, but don't worry, it's perfectly normal. One last time, you need to acquire yet another special QB blueprint. You grind until your feet bleed, gathering the resources necessary to print that QB, equip it, and you're finally done. During the recent Hawaii event, for the first time, extra steps were added to the quest chain that required people to answer a certain number of vault trivia questions before they could advance. Once you finally finish the quest chain, you get the Big Tickler box, so called because you kind of have to tickle it in order to get it to open. The Big Tickler will bestow upon its recipient a delightful mix of usually, but not always, valuable resources. The Big Tickler also gives you a headquarters skin blueprint, which you can either use to glam up your headquarters or sell in the auction house to try to recoup some of the 1,110 blue keys that you fed into the quest chain. Depending on the resources you get from the Big Tickler, you might also choose to sell some or all of them as well. Keep in mind that each event has had subtle changes to their respective quest chains, so the information I'm presenting here might vary slightly, but the overall structure should remain the same. For example, while the Christmas and Chinese New Year quest chains were driven by RNG, the 2022 Hawaii event was almost entirely effort-based. Another example is the Christmas 2021 event that had extra steps in the quest chain where you collected Christmas tree blueprints, which you placed on your user vaults, which then dropped new blueprints that you needed to advance through the quest chain. Yeah, it was crazy. For pretty much every event, there's a debate about whether or not the quest chain rewards are worth the 1,110 blue keys required to finish the quest chain. This was especially true for the Christmas and Chinese New Year events, where the blueprint drops were based entirely on RNG, which meant that even if you did all the work and dropped in the red key, there was still a chance that you wouldn't complete the quest chain. If you were extremely unlucky and you dropped in that red key, but then the RNG never blessed you with that final blueprint, you couldn't finish the quest chain. That made a lot of people very, very unhappy. On the other hand, the Hawaii 2022 event was the first entirely effort-based quest chain. So if you did the work, you got the tickler. Even then, a few people couldn't finish the quest chain because they were so unlucky they didn't get enough turtle shell drops from the vaults in order to print the turtle QB, which was the final step of the quest chain. We've been told that there will be more RNG-based quest chains in the future, but we'll see how often that happens after the popularity of the effort-based quest chain. All that said, in my view, I think the Tickler box and the headquarters skin blueprint are definitely worth the 1,110 blue keys or even more. I sold my Christmas headquarters skin blueprint in the auction house for a little over 1,000 keys, so I got my red key back right there. The giant paint payday that I got from that same tickler is still paying off for me today for printing QBs, but I also could have chosen to sell that paint in the auction house. As Illusion Weaver has said, it's a game of choices. Sometimes there'll be bad choices, and while they may suck in the moment, the bad choices are how we learn to play the game even better for the next event. Lastly, be aware that the green, yellow, and red keys that you feed into the quest chain give you the same equivalent leaderboard points as if you had fed them into their corresponding vaults. So if you've gone temporarily insane and decide to go for a leaderboard push that month, just know that those keys that you feed into the quest chain have a dual benefit. A lot of people have been burned by quest chains when they fed their red key into the quest chain and then failed to finish, usually due to bad RNG. Each quest chain is slightly different, but with the exception of the Christmas 2021 event, you can, if you want, hedge your bets about finishing the quest chain just by hanging back and not feeding any keys into the quest chain until late in the event when you know where you stand with those special hard-to-get resources. For example, with the Hawaii 2022 event, you could hit all 1,200 vaults necessary to finish the quest chain and collect all the lei and anthurium and plumeria flowers you needed to finish the quest chain without ever even starting the quest chain. Again, the Christmas 2021 quest chain did not allow for this cautious approach. You could not advance through that quest chain without a certain amount of luck with the RNG, but you couldn't even unlock that RNG without feeding a key into the quest chain. You could fail at any step of the quest chain, but at the same time, you couldn't start working on the next step of the quest chain until you completed the previous step. Yeah. Alternatively, you could get almost everything you needed to complete the Hawaii quest chain without even starting the quest chain. You aren't going to win any accolades by playing the quest chain super safe like that, but on the other hand, you won't have buyer's remorse if you spend the red key on the quest chain and things don't go your way. And that's everything you need to know about quest chains. If you have any questions or I missed something important, leave a comment down below and I'll do my very best to answer them. As always, please like and subscribe, and if you're new to Coin Hunt World and you haven't reached level 3 with your headquarters yet, consider using my referral code. Doing so will get free loot for both you and me.